into the like business licensing and accounting side of it, I'm happy to just open up a game store and run it.
Oh, that's true. I don't know if I
Because
know anyone in the business, um, but we'll have to
I,
ask.
yeah, because I have tons of retail experience and ordering experience. So,
Yeah. All right. We're live. Hi,
all
everyone.
right.
I'm here with my friend Rob. You might know him online as Power Helm.
Hello.
How's it going?
Oh, same stuff, different day.
Yeah. So you approached me about doing this sort of thing, which I thought was fun. I don't normally do a ton of speculation, but right now we don't have anything going on locally, so figured this might be a good way to get super excited for Wave 5. And you and I feel like we're on the same level where we were not just TCG fans, but Transformers fans. So I thought it would be I'm still speculating how I or thinking about how I want to do it. Maybe I want to do a bingo board at some point um in future waves, but I figure like let's just see how close we can get in terms of our guesses on we've got what 46 characters in the wave.
Yeah, 3 repeat characters,
Yep.
um, and 43 totally new characters.
And if it's 46 characters, I don't think half of them because I don't think every character will be a Titan Master, but a chunk of that 46 are Titan Master characters. So when they say new characters, any character that is a Titan Master head is just a new character. Like Cup's head Flintlock is technically a new character.
Yeah, I think that it'll probably be like 46. It'll probably be a good 30 of those will be new characters because it'll be the combo of the head and the body.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that's where like we've had the Amazon accidental leak first. IGN came out with their article that revealed Sergeant Cup and his head Flintlock. Um, from those two official leaks, and then I guess Nagel's notes went through, and Nagel talked about Twin Twist, and I forget Twin Twist's head off the top of my head off the top of my head. Oh, that one threw me for a flame out. So we've got so far, I think, in confirmed characters based on packaging and everything else. It looks like Power Master Optimus Prime, Weird Wolf, uh, Mindwipe, Cup, and Twin Twist. And then out of those guys, Twin Twist, Weird Wolf, and Mindwipe are new characters. I don't know. Would you consider Power Master Optimus different, or that to me that's still Optimus, even if unless they call him like Ginrai or Jinrai.
I think he would still be the same. I mean, I'm thinking that if he has his own Titan Master, which would seem appropriate that he would be such a flagship character. He's shown on the box having a Titan Master bonding with the head and everything. So, I mean, I assume that there's going to be one character that is that Titan Master, and then it'll be like he's Optimus Prime, whatever, just like Sergeant Cup was the body and he was Sergeant Cup, but Flintlock was the separate one. So I think Sergeant Cup, Optimus Prime, and then we saw in the announcement back in December, they showed Megatron in art on Facebook, and so I think those are going to be our 3 known characters.
Yeah, that's a good point. We do have Megatron, and if this is hewing to the Titans Return toy line, which it looks like it really is, then like all those characters were represented in the toy line. So Power Master Optimus would have a new character with him called Apex, which is his head. Megatron has, I think, the coolest Titan Master name in that. I think his name is like Doom Cannon. It was a Voyager class Megatron. Let me see. Doom Shot. So
Yep.
Megatron is a recurring character, but his head would be Doom Shot. And if this is Titans Return Megatron, like that's super exciting to me because that is Megatron as a triple changer. I'd be curious if they end up doing that, like if they end up doing both modes, but I love the idea of combining the folding card mechanic with the Titan Master mechanic. Especially because then you can like slide the Titan Master card inside the folding card, and it's all sorts of like dumb tactile stuff that I really like in the game.
Well, I'm wondering how they will do, because I think they should, if they're doing it, I think they should do it like that because one, it just looks so awesome. I mean, I'm just looking at the toy here online, and it looks just so sweet as like a plane and a tank. The plane has like that giant cannon mounted underneath of it and stuff, and it's just awesome looking. But I'm wondering if they do that, will they do Optimus with a base mode?
Oh, I would love Optimus with a base mode. I mean, if you do Power Master Optimus, giving him his base mode, like we've done base modes before in the city bots, so it's not like a huge stretch. He'd also, I guess he'd end up being a triple changer if they did that too. But then maybe the base mode is a great way to have some sort of additional ability. Like let's say you could plug in an additional Titan Master into the base mode and it would rate, or it maybe the base modes amplify the boost that Titan Masters get. I think there's a lot of strategic game design that could go into leveraging the toy lines play pattern. I guess do we want to do it before we get into like all our guesses on who might be here? Maybe a little bit of history on the toy line. Were you collecting Transformers when Titan's Return came out?
No, I remember them being out, and I have Titan Returns Triptychon sitting next to me that was bought for my son.
Tremendous toy.
It is so good and so big, and I have Necro hidden away so that my kids don't lose him because he is so small. But yeah, I missed out, unfortunately, on that whole line because I would have bought Seaspray. I would have bought 5 Seasprays.
Oh, that's a good point. I guess for you, this is super exciting because Titan Master's attack might mean a Seaspray figure or a Seaspray toy. Geez, come on. Seaspray card.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I anyone who has seen the stuff that I post online knows that I do not like the Autobots in general. And I feel like the cons have gotten the short end of the stick on so many levels. But I would totally flip over to Autobot side if I can get my hands on a remotely decent Seaspray.
Yeah, and that's it's interesting. So Seaspray was a Legends class figure, and I guess if people aren't familiar, so Titan's Return was a line that came out in like 20. Actually, I can just look it up right here. 2015, I want to say. 2016. It was, to me, it's the best Transformers line in terms of play pattern integration because it had one unified play pattern, which were these little Titan Master guys. I'm looking at a Night Beat right now. And they are these little guys that can turn into heads that can do all sorts of different things with the larger toys. So you had the smallest size class, which were Titan Masters, that you bought a $5 toy and it would be a little figure that turned into a head and then also turned into or it had like an attached vehicle mode that could transform and turn into a weapon and play with. Then Legend class figures like Seaspray. Every Legends class figure had a place for the Titan Master to sit as a pilot. Deluxe class and Voyager class figures, all of those had vehicle modes or animal modes or something that a Titan Master could pilot, and then a robot mode that was a body that a Titan Master could put it in as a head to control, which is where the TCG gimmick comes from. And also Voyager class figures, like we mentioned with Megatron, were all triple changers. And then the next biggest class was the leader class, where every one of those was also a triple changer, but their triple changers were base modes that could connect and form a multiple building city for the Titan class figures. And then you had the Titans, like you mentioned, Triptychon, which were their own little city buildings. I say little, those guys are huge and they're amazing. So the idea of them really, I think it's probably a little too far. I don't think they'll push the envelope that far, but I have in my head this imagination that they really take that interconnected play pattern and put it into the card game. The way we're seeing so far with like and Twin Twist are deluxe class toys in the toy line originally. If we get to see triple changing cards based on the Voyager characters, and then base modes based on the leader characters, and some sort of it would be, I guess it would be still the same size cards, like regular character card size, but some sort of ability to work with Titan Masters in maybe a new Cosmos or a new Seaspray, or Brawn is one of my other favorite ones from that line. I think the possibilities are really endless and exciting with this sort of wave.
Yeah, and I like that so many of the characters from this toy line are not cars or trucks or planes.
Yeah.
There's like I'm looking at Skull Smasher and Grax.
Oh yeah.
That's like a crocodile, and the Broadside, of course, and Sentinel Prime's like a triple changer. Looks like a spaceship and a train, I think.
Yeah, so Sentinel Prime's an interesting one. He was essentially a pre-tool of Astrotrain. Astrotrain came out in the toy line. Sentinel Prime has his same train and spaceship mode, but then they used it for a Sentinel Prime figure originally. And I really like that figure a lot. I know the new Siege Astrotrain is supposed to be a really incredible toy. But Sentinel Prime coming into the card game would be really cool. Just because he's like a bad Autobot. And I'd be so curious about how they'd represent that as a card. Maybe he's an Autobot character that does Decepticon-like things to other Autobot characters that you have on his team. Like he plays sacrificially with his teammates or something.
Maybe he could use Decepticon cards like Callous Leadership.
Oh, that would be neat. That would be a really cool way to do it.
Yeah, that would also be really frustrating for me.
Yeah, that's the thing. Hopefully Decepticons get a hand up. And that's where, like, if we talk about some of the Decepticons that could end up showing up, the traditional Decepticon Headmasters, which are like Mindwipe, Wolfwire, Skull Smasher, and then they took Decepticon Target Masters and turned them into Titan Masters in the toy line. Cards that we've gotten before, so we might not get again. Like Trigger Happy has been in the game previously, but he was a Titan Master type figure. I don't know that we'll get another Trigger Happy if we're kind of strongly hinted at getting Cup, Optimus, and Megatron already. But maybe we get, instead of Trigger Happy, we get his like teammates Misfire and Slugslinger. So hopefully we get some of those guys and they end up being pretty strong con cards. And then of course, anytime we get a new Megatron, I'm super excited because he is one of my favorites. And then I don't know how they do it, but 6-Shot is in the toy line. I don't know that I'd be betting on 6-Shot being in the card game yet.
I feel like just from a production standpoint, the only way you would be able to do him would be to make him like 2 triple changer cards or something. Like
like a triple changing combiner almost, but you don't like he's just always combined.
Yeah, there's no combine mechanic. It's just you just flip among the cards. Either that, or I suppose they could do some ridiculous like multi-fold card that is in a separate set.
Yeah.
They could do if there's like I'm not familiar if there's a Autobot 6-changer that isn't in this set that they could use to be sort of its counterpart. I mean, they could do that. Honestly, I do think that we're going to end up seeing at least one character who just doesn't make sense for the Titan Masters.
Yeah.
Just because Trypticon didn't make sense for Siege, as far as we know, right?
Oh, you mean as in like him being in the card game?
Yeah, because he's not in the Siege story, to my knowledge. I know there's a Netflix series coming out that's supposed to tell the story, but I feel almost like he was more of a hint of things to come than he was meant for Siege itself.
I could see that. I wonder if it's just because he's in the zeitgeist of the franchise. Like he just had his Titans Return toy, and then he was in the Machinima TV series and in the unrelated IDW comic books. Maybe they put Trypticon in just because they wanted a Decepticon to stand against Metroplex. Actually, I think in a previous interview I had with Drew, you're right. Drew said that originally Trypticon was supposed to be a standalone set like Metroplex, but then they decided to put him in with Siege just because they figured out that he fits in the box. And I think that's a marketing thing. Like we're getting, it looks like we're getting Fortress Maximus based on the Amazon listing, right? We're getting Fortress Maximus in the box the way we did Trypticon.
Yeah, I believe Drew or someone also posted a picture of like a retail pack with the actual individual packs pulled out, and they had the Fortress Maximus card sticking out from under the pack pile.
Yeah, they don't want to reveal his buddies, and that's where that's some of the speculation that I find most exciting. So you know Fortress Maximus the toy, where he is a city former like Metroplex. He is a Titan Master or a Headmaster, where his head turns into a robot named Cerebros. But then Cerebros's head turns into a robot named Emissary. So he's a double Titan Master, and I would love for us to get it looks like Fortress Maximus in the body, and we've seen that like a bit of that art peek out, and then a regular character card sized head, and then a Titan Master sized card on top of that to do like the full Titan Master gimmick. I think that would be a ton of fun to play around with, especially because then you could take Emissary and put him in other teams as a head. Yeah, hey, Black Blue Steel, how's it going?
I hope that they don't put him in such a way that the star cost is taken away. Like, because if you make Fortress Maximus like 20 stars to give you Cerebros so that he has room for his head and everything, then that means you can knock out a Titan with Cosmos thanks to his stratagem card.
Yeah, so that's a good point. I wonder if they do like Fort Max at 25 stars the body, and then Cerebros and the Titan Master have their own star costs, but Fort Max has a rule on him that you can play him with those two specific Titan Masters, or you know, something the way Metroplex could deploy. And then of course there's the opportunity for us to get another Cog, because Cog, like we know Cog in the card game as a weaponizer, but Cog was originally Fort Max's buddy.
I mean, it's possible he could be like the epitome of the toy and just be a Transformers card game Matryoshka doll, where you start out with him in like city or bot mode, city mode, and then he can become bot mode, but he has Cerebros on him giving a buff, and then when he dies, Cerebros comes out with Emissary giving a buff, and then when he dies, you still have Emissary there.
Oh, that would be funny. That would be, yeah. I'm really curious as to how they'll end up implementing him.
Yeah, because he's like the biggest one, right? I mean, he's bigger than Metroplex.
Yeah, if you're talking fiction, it's a little muddled in terms of size. But originally, I think he was the biggest guy. And then later on, like now he's kind of the same size as other people. And there's some versions of him that are small. And they're not going to do that version of him. But I think the Marvel Comics and IDW Comics Fort Maxes were like Ultra Magnus sized originally, which was a little weird.
Yeah, that's weird. But then again, we're also talking about a fiction where a 20-foot tall robot turned into a beatbox that a kid could carry around. So
very true. Yeah, that's very true.
But yeah, I think that he'll end up being like 40 health or something. I think he'll be a big burly dude who probably has like tough 3 or 4 from Cerebros or something, and he'll just be hard to kill, and that'll be his big thing. He'll be just a big tough wall. And I also think that I would not be surprised to see Necro come out as a Headmaster for 1 star that you can put with Trypticon, because 24 stars for Trypticon, they could have just made Relentless Invasion card that didn't work without Trypticon or something instead of putting a star on it. And I think that maybe Necro will allow you to get those incursions early or something, like start with an incursion or something like that to help Trypticon get his minions out.
Oh, that's interesting. I think I disagree. I feel like if they want to help Trypticon, they'll end up doing it via a stratagem rather than introducing Necro as like a character card in a separate line. But I guess I could see Necro hopping in as, because I feel like there will be bodiless heads. Like there will be some percentage of the characters that don't have that are just the Titan Masters that you can like attach to other stuff, but don't necessarily have a dedicated body of their own. Just to like give you the ability to customize your characters. And I feel like if Necro shows up, that's the format he'd be in, not necessarily helping Trypticon, but just being there as a playable head.
Yeah, I could see him being a 1-star head and working well with Trypticon at the very least, like giving him tough or something to help him be more survivable. Because I mean, we are missing a couple of heads. I mean, Aimless is listed on the Titans Return toy line for the head for Misfire, and Caliburst is listed as Slugslinger's head.
Yeah, so in the toy line, Slugslinger, Misfire, and Trigger Happy, they were originally Target Masters. They gave their heads their Target Master names. So that's where Aimless, Caliburst, and Blowpipe, like those names come from, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, unless they gave those guys new names in the card game, which they could do, I don't know really if they will just maybe give those guys bodies and just put them with another head, or make those guys like Slugslinger and Misfire just separate bots that aren't Titan Masters.
Yeah. Now, have you seen, because on the Facebook group, Wes Robinson, he likes to put together his list, and he put together his speculative list of where he thinks cards will be based on the names of the characters and the alphabet that of the cards that we've like gotten so far. So like we know that Sergeant Cup is number 35. We know that Twin Twist is 43, and he's kind of populated his own list of here is what he thinks the order of the other bots will be, which I think right there, that's hard to get right, but I think it's a very interesting starting point for like other speculation. Like he's got Apex, which I think we're pretty confident on. He's got Breakaway, which is a character that I kind of feel like we may not get. Breakaway has been he's a cool toy, and I like his toy because it was an RX-7. But he's been a non-character in the franchise up until recently, when he was another jerk Autobot character in the IDW, the old IDW verse. But have you had a chance to look at that list at all?
I have not seen that list. I know about that list, but I'm looking at the toy now. I mean, Autobots and cars, they can't go a set without getting a car, so
Yeah, but hopefully, like you mentioned earlier, it would be nice if the cars are not the expected cars. If it's stuff like what we got in Legends figures, like Brawn, maybe Wheelie would be a cool one. Stuff that, yeah. I'd be willing to bet we get the core Headmasters, which the core Headmasters in the original toy line. So I mentioned before Skullcruncher, Mindwipe, Weirdwolf for the Decepticons. For the Autobots, it's Brainstorm, Chrome Dome, Hardhead, and Highbrow, and then Fort Max. So Chrome Dome there kind of fulfills that car mechanic. Hardhead would be a great one. I'm like 99% sure we get those 4 characters. Brainstorm, I'm excited because I hope that means we get a Titan Master Attack Brainstorm card that actually has Brainstorm on the art. I'm really annoyed that Wheeljack's on it over and over again.
Well, I mean, he is the resident science tech type guy, so
Yeah, that's true. I
it makes sense.
If they end up doing triple changing headmasters like the Voyager figures that we mentioned, one actually now that I'm thinking about it, I'm gonna say what I thought, but now I think I know why it might be wrong. So Eight Face we got in the Siege line. He's originally a headmaster. He had a buddy named Snapdragon who was also a triple changing headmaster. But I remember Drew has mentioned previously in interviews that they don't want to spoil new toys with cards ahead of time. So I'm betting that Snapdragon will not appear in Titan Master's attack because there's a lot of rumor that we're going to get a Snapdragon toy in Earthrise to go with the Eight Face we got in the Siege toy line.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's hard to say because I mean, I'm sure Greenlight was planned like not that. I mean, Greenlight didn't come out that far before Siege Wave 4 came out with Greenlight in it, and they tend to test stuff and design stuff months in advance. So, I mean, I'm sure they have stuff in planning that is probably coming out. So it might not come out this set, but yeah, I think it could come out next set or something. I'm sure they have seen it and know what's coming. I'd be more interested to see what happens just with some of the other ones that sort of have different characters, like the ones that are they're sort of the same character but different, like Octone, because he is a Decepticon in Titan's Return. So I think that it'd be more interesting to see if they try and squeeze in unexpected things like that by saying they're a different character versus, like you said, spoiling possible future characters.
Oh, that'd be so. Like we get like he's actually called Octane in the card game, and they say, "Oh, that's a new character." Yeah, I'd be curious to see how it goes. The other one, the other thing I want to talk about is just with the Titan Master like cards. I've noticed two things. One, it's really exciting, like the abilities that we're going to be able to swap around, because they started off by showing us the not generic ones, but the fundamental ones, right? The game started out with bold and tough, and they showed us the tough Titan Master and the bold Titan Master. But what I noticed is in the setup, we're so used to bold just being better than tough. In this case, we have Flameout, who gives bold 2, but then Flintlock gives tough 3. And I wasn't sure. I mean, Flintlock does cost 1 more star, so maybe there's a bold 3 character that costs another star and a tough 2 character that costs 1 star less. But I thought it was interesting that they're kind of showing us the inverse of what we're used to, which is that aggro and bold are generally just higher values than control and tough. And I know that's something you've mentioned before online a couple times. I wanted to get your thoughts on if you noticed that or what you might think about the method or the idea behind what they're sharing here.
Yeah, I did notice that, and that made me very happy because I saw, they realized that everything has a base attack that's double or more base defense for most other things. I mean, when they released Twin Twist and Flameout, you can see it's literally right there on Twin Twist. He has 4 attack, but only 2 defense. So, I mean, you're only going to flip, unless you flip a white card, you're going to, at best, flip 2 extra blues if you have an extra tough. Mm-hmm. So, at best, you would even it out, and it would also make people more likely to play some more Pierce cards if they have less bold built into things. So it would definitely, I think, add to a little more variation in decks, because people will be like, well, I need to have a certain number of black pips or a certain amount of Pierce cards because I can't be sure that I'm just going to totally steamroll their tough 2 or 3 because I don't have enough on my head here to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And Twin Twist is such a, it's such a fun reveal because even if people who didn't know the characters or the wreckers, like they see Twin Twist and they go look him up online and they see Topspin, and now like Topspin's not confirmed in the card game, but there's going to be a Topspin in the card game. And that's the card that I feel like we might be able to get the closest to a realistic guess, because they are twins. In terms of differences between the two, I'm wondering, like, okay, Topspin will be either a jet or a spaceship. It's weird because Twin Twist here in his art is flying, it looks like, and he's a tank. So maybe Topspin's a plane. Um, I'm so curious about what his ability might be. Twin Twist gives Pierce 3. The Wreckers are an offensive team. Maybe Topspin gives, I don't know, a buff to a character he's partnered with and really stacks Pierce. Or if they're meant to work in tandem, if you're not supposed to be flipping both, maybe Topspin has a static ability instead of a when you flip to this mode ability.
He could have like focus or something for his headmaster. He could also have an ability where if you do a non-attack damage to an opponent, flip Twin Twist or something like that to make them sort of like the runabout and run amok pair up, where you want to run them together because they kind of make each other better.
Yep. And that's where like the star count looks like it's in that direction. Twin Twist with Twin Twist's head with Flame Out is 12 stars. So we could expect Topspin to be around the same star count. Oh, actually, PGP just posted an interesting comment. They interpreted the 46 character cards, 43 of them new line, as meaning direct character reprints rather than name repeats. I don't know. We haven't seen a character card has not been reprinted inside a wave, as far as I know. We've gotten them as promos and the Energon edition. But I guess if it's like they mean that 3 characters are being brought back from way earlier waves, that would be very different than the Transformers TCG methodology we've seen so far.
Yeah, I'm not sure, because I don't know if I see that happening or not, just because you do have some of those Titan Masters and all, like Blowpipe and Aimless, who, would they, because the Titan Masters that we've seen so far, at least Flintlock there, doesn't have a secondary title. He doesn't have, or Flameout rather, he doesn't have like Flameout, Autobot, Head Guy, or whatever, how like all the other guys have that secondary thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, with like they could just say you can't differentiate him because the main name is the same, and he doesn't have a, even though he doesn't have one, he doesn't have a different secondary title or something like that. And plus, it would be a little weird for them to have kind of obscure characters reprinted, just because you could end up playing a game with Aimless the Battle Master and Aimless the Trick Titan Master on the same field. So then you suddenly go from attacking like Trick, like Misfire, and you kill him, and all of a sudden you have to start specifying which Aimless you're going after and stuff, and that might cause some confusion.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see how that ends up working out. I guess the nice thing is the Battle Masters and stuff, they are like, they have Raider or Sergeant or something. So like their official name is at least different. Even if the Titan Masters, like you said, don't have their like subtitles or whatever you want to call it. In terms of 3 reprinted character cards, if there were actual character cards reprinted, it would have to be something like fundamental, I feel. But I don't know. I think that I don't interpret the line meaning that we will see reprinted character cards in Titan Masters Attack. I view it as returning characters that are the Optimus Megatron Cup that we think. But who knows? We might be wrong there.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think that, based on everything they've said and done before, there's no reason to not think that, especially looking at the list of characters that are available, most of them are not repeat characters. So and most of them are very cool, unique designs they haven't done before. So it seems to me like it would be silly for them to go back and be like, oh, well, this is Bumblebee, but not really Bumblebee, so that counts. I mean, the thing with Octone, like I mentioned before, was he's a different faction at this time, so they could say that is why he's a different character, because he's not a mercenary.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't really see them playing any word games there with that. I think that when they say 43 new characters, it will be like all new people like Twinferno and Breakaway and Perceptor and stuff like that.
And like we mentioned, if we're getting out of those 43, if 15 to 20 of them are Titan Masters, that's characters that we've just never seen before because they haven't existed in the card game. Like that type of character is entirely new. Actually, now that I'm looking at Twin Twist bot mode, I'm wondering if Topspin will facilitate the double flip that is mentioned in Twin Twist bot mode ability. Like you mentioned with Run Amok and Runabout, like you flip Topspin, he allows you to flip Twin Twist or something, and that gets you an extra flip somewhere down the line to get that double damage or that damage to each enemy or something.
Yeah, I think there'll be something where like one of his modes will be like when you do one damage, flip this to a different mode, and the other mode will be like when you flip to this mode, flip Twin Twist to his other mode or something of that nature. I think there'll be some sort of play there. Though I am on a totally different side note tangent thing, super excited because I just realized that I had the old Topspin Jump Starter toy, going back and looking at the toys for him.
Oh, really?
So I was like, oh my God, I remember having that toy. Pullback, jumps, supposed to jump up. He never did. He just sort of opened and fell over in midair. But
sounds about right.
I'm very excited for him, mostly now because remembered that toy.
And then the other thing that's kind of cool is we're seeing these record characters, but it's clear that they're not meant to be played on one team together. Like Twin Twist is with his traditional head is already 12 stars. Cup, I think, was 11, if I remember right. Cup himself is like 8. Cup is 7 stars, and then his head is 4 stars. So like the wreckers are bigger bots that look like maybe they're designed to be the centerpiece of a 3-wide or sitting next to a 4-wide team or something like that.
I could see, depending on what the costs are, like they said that the minimum star would be a 1-star head, right?
I don't remember if that was said anywhere. I mean, maybe it did and I missed it. I've always assumed that the bots won't get cheaper than 3 stars to differentiate them from battle cards. I remember that being said somewhere down the line, but I couldn't source that for anyone right now, unfortunately. If anyone knows in the comments, maybe I'm misremembering. But I in my mind, somewhere in a couple different interviews, Drew was, or maybe it was Scott or Matt was saying, we want to keep a differentiator between what battle cards exist star-wise and then what a actual robot would cost.
Okay, actually, I've got the Nagel's notes up, and he does say this head and bot mode character is somewhere between 1 and 4 stars.
Oh.
So they will have, I mean, we have a 3-star and we have a 4-star. But yeah, it looks like they're going to be 1 and 2 stars. I'm thinking that you're going to see a lot of people, especially with the bots, that's going to be the strategy, is you're going to have to decide, do I want bold 2 or tough 3, or do I want to be able to play Twin Twist and Cup and something else? Because otherwise you would just be playing like Twin Twist and Cup if you used their sort of partner body and head.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
Okay, if you get a 1-star head, you're looking at an 8-star and a 10-star, and that still gives you room for a variety of different 7-star characters.
Yeah, I'd be super curious what 1-star heads would do in terms of ability. Maybe a 1-star head just gives you like 2 attack and 1 defense, or 2 attack or 1 defense, or something like just static. Although I guess no, because 2 attack is like almost strictly better than bold 2. So like to only cost 1 star. Um, yeah,
I mean, they
I'm
could just
really
be
curious.
blank. They could just be let you play the body, which also has a nice ability. Because so far the bodies have cool abilities, and that may be the balance where you can get this really powerful uh, bonus plus this good ability, or you can get no bonus, this good ability, and have a wider team.
Yeah, that's super cute. Like that's super interesting. Just the advantage of the 1 star bot is just that it's 1 star. Like that makes sense. It could be worth it. Like now I get to play Cup as an 8 star instead of an 11 star or whatever it is. And like he's already got tough 1. Maybe that's good enough at 8 stars with his wrecker ability.
Yeah, I mean, 8 stars, you slap him in with Flame War, giving everyone tough, and now he's got built-in tough too. So I
Yep.
mean, he's a 7 star, and he's already pretty equal to or just as good as Aimless with Flame War because he's got 2 defense built in and 2 more health than even Aimless had. So tough 2, that's not bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good
And
point.
he's a leader, so he can throw a Matrix on.
Yep, yep. Hi, really dicey. How's it going? Oh, PGB actually has another comment. They don't know that they feel will have independent head characters, um, because full body bots will come with stratagems. And so I don't know if those are mutually exclusive. When I say independent head characters, I feel like heads are. It looks like they're designed to be swappable. So I don't. To me, I don't necessarily see that every head needs to have a dedicated body for it. I could see a couple free floating heads just as like the toy line where we had Titan Master characters like Loudmouth just have that head, but he gives a nice ability that maybe you put him on one of your characters instead of someone else or something like that. And then they also say it would be cool if everyone came with a specific, if every body came with a specific head in the booster. I I think the Vector Sigma guys did a talk, and actually I know they did a talk, and during their talk they mentioned it, and I agree with them. I think logistically that would be a nightmare if you're randomizing cards and then you got to pair up randomized cards. That sounds like a manufacturing mess waiting to happen. I wouldn't plan on you getting Cup and getting Flintlock in the same pack all the time.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they'll do that. I mean, I suppose it would be possible if there was, because it would be more to deal with collating the prints and the cuts and everything.
Yeah, because they
But
won't
I
be
mean,
printed on the same sheet. Because when we've seen sheets, like the character card size gets its own sheet versus the battle card size.
yeah, but I think it will be interesting to see because I mean, their distribution has like last wave, the distribution was kind of questioned a little bit because there were all those people posting where they got multiple super rares in a box. So, I mean, and that was just getting a full size character variation across a box. And
Yep.
so, I mean, I feel like it would be even harder to assure that you're getting Cup and Flintlock in every pack that has Cup. And I think it would be actually really cool if they did something with, because a lot of those individual Titan Masters, it looks like, had sort of a different mode. Because I'm looking at Fangry, for example, he has like a wolf beast mode, and he has like a dragon that he can ride on and stuff.
Yeah,
So
they were really cool about doing that where it essentially came the little head came with a little other toy that was its own little transformer that he could use in 3 different ways.
now this might be crazy, and I'm sure it probably won't happen, but what if they did triple changer style Titan Masters as the quote unquote large character cards in occasion, and they had uh, the head mode, the bot mode, and like that wolf beast mode, for example, with Fangry.
Oh, that would be insane, but I love it.
I,
Like
I think I could see that being like a super rare Titan Master.
Oh, that would be awesome. Like, there's one that never came out. They were supposed to do an Optimus Primal Titan Master, based off of in the toy line. There was an 8-face Titan Master toy. So you got 8-face's head, and then you got a little robot that turned into an ape and then turned into a jet. So like something weird like that, like Optimus Primal version of that as a super rare would be nuts. And then I guess when you fold it, the folded sides would be maybe the one side would have to be no. I guess that wouldn't work because you need no. It could. One side would have to be the head, one side would have to be the robot, and then
And
one
then you
side
open
would
it.
be one of the vehicle modes.
Yeah,
So
you
for
open
Optimus
it. It's
Primal, it
like
could be the ape.
yeah. So it would be like whatever that like special thing is. Like when you mentioned Nightbeat earlier, I was looking at, and he has that weird like drill thing going, and looks like it turns into a jet or something like that that he rides on.
Yep. Yeah, he's a cool one. Nightbeat's a lot of fun, and his head
I
is
mean,
perpetually screaming. Um, and it, like if you guys, anyone listening cares about the toy line, the best thing about Nightbeat is that the Titan Master port and the Prime Master port from the next line are the same. So that means that you can have your leader Optimus Prime with Nightbeat's eternally screaming head in his chest as his matrix, which I love.
yeah, and I also just realized that the Bumblebee movie Soundwave is just the Titans Return Soundwave with a little with a few tweaks on his mold and his coloring, because he
Yeah.
comes with Soundwave and Doombox.
Speaking of Soundwave, I would love a new Soundwave card because and maybe it's just I'm not that great a player, but I haven't been able to figure out Soundwave. So another Soundwave card as an opportunity to like play more Soundwave and maybe get a better version of him would be terrific.
You know, I'm wondering if when when they said all new characters, I don't have like the actual word for word quote in front of me. Did they say never? They said never before seen in the game, or never
Here's
in a set.
in the game. So the actual quote is there are 46 new character cards in the Titan Masters Attack series. Actually no, PGP, this is a good point. The text says there are 46 new character cards in the Titan Masters Attack series, 43 of which have never appeared in Transformers TCG. That, if you read that as is, that means that 43 characters have never been in the game before, and it's not just the character names, it's not counting reprints. Those cards they can't just take cards and reprint them in the game.
Yeah.
Well, I guess those three might be. There are 46 new character cards in the Titan Masters Attack series, 43 of which have never appeared in Transformers TCG. So maybe he might be right that Sergeant Cup counts as one of those 43 because it's not a strict reprint.
Well, I mean, we've seen Sergeant Cup though in Wave One. So
Yeah, but we're talking about the specific card, not the character. The text says character card. So like it's not the fact that it's not Wave 1 Sergeant Cup is the way someone else was interpreting it. That we'll see, like, for example, a Wave 1 Bumblebee in Titan Masters Attack just as a card again.
no, I think it's going to be just the because it's like character cards and stuff. So I mean, I think that they're just using the language of character cards and everything. I still think it's just going to be Cup, Prime, and Megatron are going to be our three known quantities, and everything else is going to be new. Because I was wondering if it said set or not, because if it was like a booster pack set and not in general, we could have seen a blaster. Because we haven't seen Blaster in a booster pack set. We've only seen Blaster in that Soundwave box.
That's very true. Yeah, and you're right that there's so much opportunity for them to use new characters. Like just going through the toy line, ignoring the Titan Masters for now, let's start at Legends class. Stripes we haven't seen before, Wheelie we haven't seen before.
Rewind.
Rewind. Well, Rewind, did we not get Rewind as a... Which one's Rewind? Oh, Rewind's the black one. You're right.
Yeah, we got eject.
Yep. Rewind we haven't seen before. Nah, we have not seen. Brawn, Roadburn,
I would
Seaspray,
be
your
so
favorite.
excited. Oh, Null would be like probably my favorite Decepticon that they bring in, who is brand new, just because it's such a different design. Seaspray's still my homeboy. Like,
Yeah.
I love. I would also get a custom Seaspray that just has the weird human form with robot feet.
True. Yeah, get some custom art on him.
Yeah, totally.
While we have seen Blur before, we haven't seen his Headmaster Hyperfire. Hardhead, not only have we not seen before, that is a character that is like integral to the Headmaster like play pattern. That's one of the fundamental ones. Scourge, if they're gonna do Nah, I could see them doing Scourge, Cyclonus, and Galvatron, and Scourge and Galvatron are both in the toy line. Skull Smasher, Chrome Dome, Highbrow, Mind Wipe, Wolfwire,
And
Breakaway.
Those were two that were on the box, right?
Mind Wipe and Wolfwire, yes.
Yeah, so we know they're in the set.
Yep. Hot Rod we have seen before.
Yep,
Trigger Happy we have, but then Twinferno, Perceptor, and Perceptor would be a Wrecker. Like Perceptor and Topspin, those would be obvious inclusions in the Wreckers. I think Wreck and Rule, Brian already did his speculation about who the Wreckers might be. Misfire, Twin Twist we've just seen, and then Slug Slinger in terms of deluxes. And then, yeah, and if you go into like the Voyagers, Galvatron, Sentinel Prime, the other one that would make me super excited would be Broadside, because I think he's the only original triple changer we haven't had yet.
Yeah, I think plus you get both, and they could, with Seaspray and Broadside, that would give them Sea Watch.
Oh, Power Home, you're Rob, you're breaking up on me a little bit.
Breaking up on me too. Let me see here.
While he's fixing that, PGP, yeah. What did he notice? He noticed something on the booster pack text. Let's take a look. Large character card, small character card. It says 2 foil character cards, 1 large head and 1 small body, or 1 large foil character card with 1 stratagem card. So I guess, yeah. So the fact that it says 1 small head and not 1 small body, maybe that prevents us from seeing more tape cassette stuff. And with all this speculation, we should note that probably not every card in the wave is going to be a Titan Master. If we get, like, for example, 30 or 35 or 25 or 40 Titan Master characters, then that means we've got like 20-ish Headmasters and 20 heads, 20 bodies, or let's say 15 heads, 15 bodies. And that leaves us another 30-ish slots, 33 slots for regular guys.
Yep. Is that better?
Yes, much better.
Awesome.
In terms of the leader class figures, like 6-shot we talked about before, the crazy person in me wants them to issue a 6-shot foldable cube that you have to fold up and then you flip to which side. That's not going to happen, but that's my dream. But
Origami.
the 2 that like stick out would be Sky Shadow and Overlord. And Overlord, I think, it's not that he's guaranteed in. Of course he's not guaranteed in, but he could be, like you were talking earlier, the triple changing combiner concept. You have one side that is, you have 2 cards that are triple changers. One side of each card is, one is a jet, one is a tank. And then the other 2 sides are the top and bottom halves of a base and the top and bottom halves of a robot. And then you get your Titan Master head that'll fit inside, and like that would be so cool. Overlord's an awesome character, and I can't imagine they miss out on putting him in the game.
Yeah, I think because Sky Shadow's the same way too, correct?
Yeah, traditionally he's not, but they use the toy in this case.
Yeah, so I mean, they could do either one of those guys like that, and that would also, it would be great if they were both like 5 stars and came with like a 2-star Titan Master that just goes on one of them, and that
When
way
you say
you would
that, you
have,
mean the halves?
yeah, the
Okay.
like start out in like the plane and tank mode, and just I'm not sure how they would do that with the heads though. They would, I guess they would just note that you can have a head on one half or the other or something.
Or maybe
Um,
that's his, like, that could be his special gimmick that he gets, because Overlord traditionally had Power Masters in his chest and he had two of them. Maybe he has a thing where he gets the benefits of two Titan Masters in his card text or something.
yeah, that would be cool if you could put like a Titan Master on each one, and then when he joins together, the combined form has both of them in it. Um, but I would really like to see them kind of push the bounds with it. If they're going to do the gimmick of the Titan Masters, I think that they could go really like full bore. I think that it would be really cool, especially if they did something where like when they're knocked out, they turn into their base mode. If they have a base mode, that would be like their base mode buffs the Titan Master or something.
Yeah, yeah, that would be. Yeah, oh yeah, like as a it stays on the battlefield or something, or no, it goes to KO when he gets knocked out. He goes to KO in base mode, and then he gives a passive buff to his Titan Master. That'd be
Yeah,
interesting. And
or
then
even
it makes certain strategic decisions, like if you ISF, do you actually? That's a good point. If you ISF a body, what happens? We don't know yet.
yeah, Nagel's note said you cannot do that.
Oh, it did. Okay.
Yep, you cannot bring them back. Effects like I Still Function and Voluntary Promotion will not work at all to bring back a body. You can, however, bring back a head from KO because it will be in bot mode.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I'm going through his additional rules now. I should have read this more closely. Yeah, so Titan Master requires a body and head. We kind of figured that one. Starts in alt mode, same thing. Flip back and forward like a normal. If he gets KO'd, yep, just the body dies. So this is interesting. The body loses all its upgrades upon KO. The head doesn't get to keep any upgrades, but he hints that maybe there's a battle card that will allow you to pass upgrades onto your head.
And I thought that battle card already existed in the form of Scavenge the Battlefield.
Well, what does the tech? Let's look it up. What does Scavenge the Battlefield actually say on it? When one of your characters is KO'd, instead of scrapping that character's upgrades, you may put any number of them onto one of your other characters. So maybe something in the trigger, like this is diving deeper into the rules, but maybe there's something in the order of operations that prevents that from happening. Maybe the battlefield doesn't see your Titan Master until after your body is KO'd, and that would, like, you know what I mean? Maybe there's something that in the expanded rules that we'll find out that prevents Scavenge the Battlefield from working on trigger.
Yeah, I'm guessing maybe they'll say that something weird with the bodies, but it would have to be unique to the bodies because otherwise, I mean, they would have to say all of these defensive triggers happen instantaneously at the same time, and nothing that can't happen at that moment can be done. Like they would have to do some sort of ruling. I'm sure they'll have a rules roundup where I'm definitely going to ask if Scavenge the Battlefield can work if it doesn't get addressed before that. But I mean, it seems like that would work if you just select that this person is KO'd. When they're KO'd, the head pops off, and that trigger has finished. Now Scavenge the Battlefield triggers.
Yeah, I guess if Scavenge the Battlefield doesn't work on the body dying and the head coming back, then that probably also means Grimlock's Overkill doesn't work. Because it wouldn't see it the same way.
Yeah, Steamroll and Grimlock wouldn't have a target then.
Yep.
Which I guess actually makes sense, because otherwise what's the point of having the Headmaster survive if they can just get steamrolled?
Yeah, that must be like however they've done the expanded rules, that's how they've thought about it. which is super interesting. And like, I was talking to Dan from Vector Sigma the other day, and he was mentioning like, um, or no, it was during the Vector Sigma's like talk, their weekly tech talk. Dan was super excited about Titan Masters just because, like, besides everything else they do, but the fact that it's like a stopgap. Okay, my character is dead, but I don't lose the game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see anyone winning with a Titan Master, especially if you look at, you know, like Flintlock being a bot mode 4 health, no defense guy. Even with tough 3, you get one bad flip and he's dead.
You're right, not Flintlock, but I could see Flame Out. Like if you're running, let's say 4 wide airstrike patrol, and you've got Twin Twist and Flame Out with them for whatever reason. Like some of those aggro on aggro matchups, it comes down to one attack. So if you get one more turn with like they kill your last guy, you get one more turn with your Titan Master, and you've got Bold 2, like that could win you the game.
Yeah, and I also like that his stats are much lower. He's a 2/2/1, so he definitely is meant to be like, this is your last shot. You better hope that he swings and hits.
Yeah,
because if he doesn't, they can marksmanship him.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and maybe it makes marksmanship come back, because right now I feel like we don't get a ton of value out of marksmanship. At least not when we play locally, because we love our alt mode cards.
And everyone knows marksmanship is there. It's the always possibility.
Yeah.
And I think with something like Twin Twist, where his ability lets you like marksmanship someone and then ping everyone else, that would be something that would also make people go, maybe I just need to start playing take cover.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I'm trying to think, do you have, I guess the only other thing that I've got to speculate on is the stratagem cards, which we haven't really talked about at all. The other like dumb fun thing that I could think of for them to do a standalone box would be Straticus Maximus, but I think that won't happen because that's too cool for the TCG.
I think the next box will probably, I mean, unless some of those characters that aren't Titan Masters happen to be combiners, like say Bruticus or something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them doing another standalone box that isn't a combiner, just because, I mean, the last big combiner we got, like the last 5-part combiner or 6-part combiner, was Devastator and Combiner Wars, right? We didn't get any combiners in Siege 1 or Siege 2 other than Skytread and Omega Supreme.
Right, but are you talking about the traditional what do you call that mode? The 5 guys,
like a combiner team, not just
yeah.
Because I mean, it's been too long since we've had an actual team, so I feel like the next box set would be like at least one combiner team, because they are doing the 3 combiners for the promo, but that's like a 3-person team.
Yeah, so I'm so curious as to what I feel like that might be Reflector. Like they could do 3 bots that combine into one alt mode. They kind of missed out on doing them inside of Siege, and it was in the Siege toy line. That would be my guess for what the promo might be.
Now, have they announced, or do they have any 3-part combiners coming out as toys? Because, I mean, didn't the Nightbird toy come out recently? And that also was the promo that came out for Siege 4.
That is
could be
true.
As or it far could as be Rail Racer.
Yeah, so the three options that I think are most likely would be Reflector, Rail Racer. I don't know if it's most likely, but it's an awesome train thing, and I love Rail Racer. And then the other one I would think of, if they're trying to tie it into the Titan Master toy line, is I should actually just open it up on here. Takara Legends Big Powered. So this is I've got it open up. Obviously, you can't see yet, but Takara Legends Big Powered is a Japanese exclusive toy that is a unconventional combiner, but it used Titan's Return molds. So it has Die Atlas, Roadfire, and Sonic Bomber. Die Atlas is based off the Overlord toy that we know. Sonic Bomber is based off of that one's a hard one for me to remember. I think he's based off like Scourge and Windblade and that sort of stuff. And then Roadfire is based off the Topspin Twin Twist mold. So I could see that being like a weird, but that's like maybe that one's too esoteric.
I mean, I feel like Nightbird is rather obscure for most people. So I could definitely, I mean, any 3-part combiner is probably going to be a little obscure if it's anywhere remotely related to any of the sets we've seen so far.
Yeah.
I mean, wasn't Rail Racer a Robots in Disguise character?
Yes, we haven't really seen him since that cartoon, but he is like that's such a cool design. I have an original, not a Robots in Disguise, but a Car Robots, the JRX, which is what Rail Racer was, on my shelf, and he is phenomenal. That's back when they put some metal in those toys.
Back when you could hurt someone with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at a picture of him. I think he would be a cool option because they did say the 3-part combiner had little to no existing tribal support. So, I mean, it would make sense for it to be a train or a boat or like something. I mean, planes and tanks and stuff have actually got a fair amount of tribal support.
That's true. Well, I know someone in particular that would love if Rail Racer came out, but I would lose my shit if Rail Racer was the promo cards. We'd have to convince Gaming Goat and Woodburn to both carry because I need Rail Racer in my life. Yeah.
I mean, it could happen if Sentinel Prime's a triple changer. He's a train. We've already got Astro Train.
That's true. Maybe we get some train support in Titan's Return.
Yeah, I have no idea what that would be, but
like... Let me ask you this, because it does kind of it annoy me that they take the, like, for their throwback waves, like Combiner, Rise of the Combiners. I hate that it's so close to the toy line name but doesn't match the toy line name. I'm sure that is a legal thing they have to do, but I call Rise of the Combiners Combiner Wars constantly, and I will call Titan Masters Attack Titan Returns constantly. So my apologies to everyone who has to put up with that.
I mean, I'll go even further and call it Titan Wars, which was the like BotCon display name.
Oh yeah, the original when it was the War trilogy or whatever, where Combiner Wars, Titan Wars, Prime Wars was what we thought it was all called.
Yeah, I'll go a step further and be that much more obscure because, I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it's based on, and I mean, it's the same company, so I don't even know, unless they're just trying to make sure they don't divert attention towards old toys that have already been sold in stores and have people looking on eBay for them and stuff. They'd rather keep people's attention on the new waves, and so they don't want people looking for them in stores and not finding them.
Yeah,
and that could be it, because if you say Titan's Return, then everyone's going to Google them and go look for the toys and stuff. Maybe that's their logic. I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I 100% will just be calling it the Titan Returns set.
Yeah. Well, I guess we're a little past an hour here, so I think we got to wrap things up. But before we go, one last bit of speculation. I wanted to get, Rob, from you in terms of stratagem cards. Who is the the character that you think needs a stratagem card the most, or that would be most interesting to have a stratagem, and then separately, the character you personally want to have a stratagem the most?
I think both of those questions are satisfied by Thundercracker.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think if he gets something where you get +1 for each action played and +2 or +3 for each action over 2 in a turn, or if he gets +1 for each action and you can flip him to bot mode to play an action.
Yeah, he needs something, because he just right now stat wise he was never super competitive, but now with he's just doesn't have the health to get multiple value out of. He needs that boost to be huge, otherwise, it's just you can't really play him with anything.
Yeah, there's so much setup required to give him like a big boost. Like you would have to brainstorm 2 leaps into battle to make it like worth playing him, and in a blue setting that still would only get you like 4 damage.
Yeah.
But I think honestly, I think also any blank character, Ramjet, Ruckus, all those like double blank characters,
they're ripe for something.
Yeah, they could literally give them anything. They could even make them non-star stratagem cards, and they would still be balanced because of the power creep that's happened. I mean, you look at Ramjet, and then you look at Wave 4 Springer, and it's like a huge disparity.
Yeah, for me, the card that I think will get one, I think Skywarp's definitely going to get one. And I'm guessing, I think Jimmy John over at Jank Labs, he speculated that instead of being he gets +3/+3 if you play a blank card, it'll be changed to +3/+3 every time you play a blank card to let it stack, kind of like Thundercracker. Because I think it's the same sort of situation where he just doesn't have the raw stats to get a ton of value out of his ability right now. And then for an actual one that I hope gets one, I would love for Wave 1 Grimlock to get another boost, because there was a time when Dinobots were never the most competitive team, but they were a solidly competitive 3-wide aggro team. And right now in the environment, it feels like 3-wide aggro just struggles against one, the wider teams like Airstrike Patrol, and 2, the traditional prey that is control decks. They've got so many tools. I'd love Grimlock to have, in addition to his overkill ability, some sort of boost on bot mode maybe, or something, replacing the text in some sort of way to make sure you're getting a big, huge swing with him in bot mode, not just having to flip him twice and load him up to make sure you get the damage you need to overkill as much as you can.
I think Grimlock Wave 2 gets a stratagem to bring in the Dinobots on flip into the KO area instead of requiring the attack.
Oh, that's a good point. I'm sure that he does. Actually, PGP mentioned that. Or maybe he gets to bring multiple Dinobots on attack or something, so you don't have to keep him alive super long. But we know there's a card that's called Jurassic Punch. We don't know what it is yet, but we're pretty sure that is the Volcanicus stratagem card. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what it ends up being.
Yeah, that's sort of, stratagems in my mind are essentially sort of the equivalent, because I was kind of thinking they would do something where it was along the lines of battlefield cards or something where you could control some sort of aspect of the game to ensure you got something. I feel like stratagem is sort of like that, where you're customizing a specific character. But it's interesting because so far, the only 2 we've seen were the Head Swap and Cosmos, and the one obviously makes Cosmos better. I mean, he still sucks, but it makes him less suck.
Yeah.
Because now he's able to, like I told you before, instead of getting knocked out before he can KO Flame War, he can get knocked out before he KOs
Galaxy Prime. Yeah.
But yeah, I think that it'll be interesting to see, as we see more of them come out, to see if we get 0-star stratagems, if we get 2 or 3-star stratagems, who gets a stratagem. I think that it'll definitely be interesting, because I would love to see some of the older characters, and like I said, some of those blank characters. Ruckus is way too many stars now for what he can do, which is totally blank.
Yeah, yeah, and going to Nagel's notes on stratagems, like that was really interesting to read through. Like 0-star stratagems apparently don't exist, but I could see a stratagem maybe costing a star and then lowering the stars of your character as part of the text replacement or something. I don't know. Maybe that's too complicated. But um, we know that they cost at least one, but maybe more. And that's where I'm so curious about. I assume that stratagems would be the tool that are used to help combiners, but if they all cost at least 1 star, then it's really tough. Like, how do you use them to help Superion or someone?
Or Minosaur, who probably needs it almost as much as Volcanicus.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's one like, and same with Volcanicus, right? Volcanicus, you can start with 3 Dinobots, but that still does that get you to 25 or does that get you like 24 stars or something? I
Well,
forget off the top of my head.
there's 2 8 stars, there's Grimlock, who's 9 stars, and then there's 2 7 stars. So you can mix and match and make it fit.
So maybe that's what they do. They have a stratagem that helps because the rare stratagems help characters that are not. The way they broke it up is there's 10 common stratagems. Those stratagems will be used to target specific Titan Master attack characters. The uncommons target Titan Master attack teams. And then the rare ones, there's 10 cards that target characters that are not in Titan Master's attack. So we know one is Cosmos already. There's 9 other ones, it sounds like. Which is actually, that's a weird thing he said in the article, because the rare stratagem we saw, which is swap heads, is a rare one. But in the article, I'm reading it now, it says a rare stratagem is likely to help a character not in Titan Master's attack. So maybe if swap heads is a rare stratagem, maybe the other 9 are like wave 1, 2, 3, and 4 characters.
Yeah. And I think it's too soon for them to be stratageming like wave 3 and 4 characters. It just seems like too, like 3 and 4 were designed together and everything, and they probably tested 5 with them. I'm guessing that's probably why they did the last minute changes to some of those hit point and star costs that we saw when they revealed cards. Yep. They probably did some testing with wave 5 and were like, oh wait, we gotta do this or that. But I mean, I don't see them necessarily giving stratagems to those guys. I would love to see them focus on waves 1 and 2 just because they're so almost weak compared to so many of the newer characters. Like I said, like Springer is a common 1 star more, and he's got much more stat-wise than, like I say, for comparison, Ruckus, who's a double vanilla Decepticon and only 1 star less.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good point. Like giving some stuff to those characters. The other thing I could see, like characters that were like, I wouldn't want it just to be characters that never did anything. Like characters that were competitive but maybe have fallen out of vogue. In my mind, it kind of goes to Shockwave, but maybe that's just because everyone's running anti-Shockwave in the meta. But maybe Wave 1 Shockwave gets a replacement text that helps him. Because really all Wave 1 Shockwave needs is more health, but maybe they do something better with his ability. So on the side that you take damage from discarding, he can also force discards through some mechanic or something like that.
I mean, even if they had made it 2 damage, he would just become a total beast.
Yeah. Yeah, that'll be interesting to see how it plays out. And then it's got me curious, like, since we're speculating on characters, Drew has said multiple times that combiner teams are getting help. The Volcanicus stratagem makes sense because you can play it with other cards, like with Volcanicus team members by dropping your star count on your team down to 1 or 2 of the 7-star cards, character cards. But then like you mentioned, Menosaur and Superion, maybe there's regular battle cards that help them, but if there are, those have to be generic combiner cards because they wouldn't put stratagems exist outside the battle card like list. So you wouldn't open up a pack and have one of your 6 battle cards be a stratagem. It exists separately. So if they have a general combiner tool, maybe it's an upgrade or action cards, that suggests to me that, like we've seen in the promo, but maybe in the main list of characters, there's going to be some general combiner stuff.
And they could also do a stratagem that affects one member of a combiner team, like Motor Master or Silverbolt, like the leader. And it could be something where this has a reduced star cost if all of your characters are stunt cons or aerial bots.
Oh, yeah. So it helps his text, but then it also, affects his star cost. That's true. They could do something like that to help fit it into the deck list.
And one other character who I don't know why I didn't think of them sooner. Poor Jazz with his 10 health, 0 defense, 3 attack.
I don't know how you make Jazz good, except for the text would have to be get rid of the Pierce effect part.
I mean, yeah, it would have to drop the Pierce, because when they made the ruling that 0 Pierce still counts as Pierce, that basically made Jazz unplayable, because you flip a black Pip and he's done for.
Well, I would say my argument is Jazz was never playable.
Well, I mean, he was, like if Pierce wasn't in his text box, he could be easily fit in with that Mirage white deck that's been floating around with Vanguard and stuff. Like, you could easily fit him into a deck like that.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. It's just the decks I run, but I'm always running like Energon Axe, and the bigger they are, so I end up having Pierce, and then I just don't care about Jazz.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the thing. I mean, at 6 stars, 3 and 10 isn't bad.
Yeah.
But the 0 health kills him, because of he only really gains any benefit if it's like if it's a non-Pierce attack. So I mean, if they drop the Pierce and just when you flip at least 2 whites, he can't take more than 2 damage. I mean, I feel like that just, strategeming just his car side would even be enough.
Oh, someone in chat mentioned Blur, and I admit I can't remember Blur's text.
Blur is a monster, and I hate him. Every game I played when I was learning the game, whenever I would play on Octagon or something, there was always someone using an orange Blur deck.
Oh, yeah, he's the untap guy, yeah.
Yeah, he is already good enough.
Yeah,
to attack and
1,
then
2,
attack
3
again.
Transformers TCG Station. I'd be curious as to what you'd want Blur. Maybe they just want Blur to be able to do something in bot mode. I don't know.
I feel like that attack is just, that double attack is such a good trade-off. I mean, Mirage is obviously a better version of that in a sense, because he can untap and then come back at you, and you flip to play an action. So I mean, he's a better card for less stars. But I mean, it's definitely something where I think in the right deck, Blur's ability is already really good. I think maybe, unless they're going to do stratagems that reduce star cost on characters, I don't really see a way that ability could be changed to be any better.
Yeah. It would have to be something like giving him something in bot mode to do, or something like that. I don't think you tweak the text at all.
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of characters, like say the older ones, who are overcosted.
Yep.
They're overstarred.
We've just seen kind of stat inflation.
Yeah. I mean, Jazz should be a 5-star bot.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he's a car and he's an Autobot, and I hate them, he should still be like a 5-star bot for what he does in the current environment. If they stratagem the car mode and drop the Pierce, and then just have it be when you flip 2 on defense, that would make him significantly better. He'll still be, mediocre, but he would still be significantly better than he is now.
Yeah. Well, I think that's all the time we've got for today. Rob, I want to thank you for joining me. Thanks for setting this up and inviting me to come talk about some speculative stuff. We'll have to, maybe after next week, I have the desire to set up like a bingo board, and we'll see how close we get with our picks.
Oh yeah, I think that'll be fun. Maybe just do it at the end of every month. We get back together and go, well, we were totally wrong about this one so far.
Yep. Yeah. The bingo board is like stuff that gets proven out or something. Yeah.
That sounds good to me. I'm still pulling for Necro. I'm gonna go on record. I'm pulling for a 1-star Necro to give me that incursion at the start of the game or something for Triptychon.
Oh yeah, that'd be great.
Because I'm so sick of having 3 in the bottom 10 cards.
All right. Well, thank you, Rob. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll catch you all next time. Have a great one, everyone.
Yeah. Have a good one.